So let's talk about it, because if you're a true Cowboys fan, you already know that when a press conference gets the whole fan base split down the middle, something big is going on behind the scenes. And that's exactly what happened when Trevin Diggs and Micah Parsons sat down together and put the organization, the same one, cutting their checks on public notice. Now, maybe you caught the full thing, or maybe you just saw the highlights on social media, but either way, you probably felt something: confusion, frustration, maybe even a little pride, depending on which side you're on. But one thing's for sure, it stirred up some serious heat in Cowboys Nation. Now, let me just say this right off the bat, we all love these players. Trevin Diggs is one of the most exciting defensive backs in the game when healthy, and Micah Parsons, that dude's a certified game changer. But this press conference, man, it was something else. It wasn't just your average mic check, it was a statement. Diggs made it crystal clear that he's not happy with how the front office is handling contracts, not just his, but Micah's too. The problem, Diggs is the last guy that should be making that kind of statement right now, and you know it. Because here's the reality: when you're on the sidelines recovering from a major injury, and the team just handed you a massive contract extension, the last thing you want to do is publicly question your bosses. That's just facts, and what made it even more head-scratching was that he wasn't alone. Micah Parsons sat right next to him, almost co-signing the whole vibe, even though their situations couldn't be more different. Parsons has been on the field, balling out. Diggs? He's been rehabbing away from the team, I might add. This whole moment felt off, and that's not just me talking. A lot of fans felt weird watching that joint presser, like, wait, what are we doing here? Are we airing grievances, or are we trying to unify this locker room? Because from where I'm sitting, that didn't feel like unity. That felt like a line being drawn in the sand between players and the front office. And you know what? Stephen Jones noticed. Oh, he noticed, alright, and he was not about to let that slide. Now, before we move on, let me hit you with a real question. How did you feel about that press conference? Was Diggs speaking truth to power, or was he out of line given his current situation? Drop your take down in the comments, because I really want to hear how Cowboys Nation is feeling. And while you're at it, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button if you're here for real, unfiltered Cowboys talk. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We're pushing hard for that 16,000 subscriber milestone, and your support makes all the difference. Alright, now that we've got the context set, let's talk about the response, because Stephen Jones didn't hold back. He went full scorched earth. You ready for that? Let's keep going now. This is where things really take a turn, because just days after that press conference with Diggs and Parsons, Stephen Jones stepped up to the mic, and let's just say, he didn't tiptoe around the issue. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't speak in circles. He went straight at the situation, and more specifically, he went straight at Trevin Diggs. This wasn't your typical polished front office response. This was Stephen Jones, clearly frustrated, and clearly sending a message to not just Diggs, but the rest of the locker room too. The message? If we pay you like a leader, we expect you to act like one, and that starts with being present. Jones was blunt. He said point blank that players are better off training at the facility. That they have everything a player needs right here at the Star, top-tier trainers. The latest medical tech, full oversight, and more importantly, they can actually see what kind of work you're putting in. Because when you're not in the building, they don't know, and that's a problem, especially when you're one of the highest paid defensive players on the roster. And you know what? I get it. I really do. Let's be real, if you were running a billion-dollar business and one of your most valuable employees, who just signed a massive deal, decided to do all their recovery work offsite, wouldn't that raise some red flags? Wouldn't you want to know what kind of shape he's really in? Wouldn't you want to make sure he's grinding to get back on the field and not just coasting through rehab at his own pace? Stephen even said he believes Trevin would be further along in his recovery if he had stayed in-house. Now, maybe Diggs disagrees. Maybe he feels like his guy Dr. Reef or whoever is doing everything the Cowboys staff could do. But here's the thing, when you sign that contract, when you take that money, there's an understanding that comes with it. A responsibility, and Steven made it very clear if you're going to be one of the faces of this franchise. They expect you to be present, to lead, to set an example. That's not just about showing up on Sundays. It's about what you do Monday through Saturday too. And let's not ignore the timing. Jones didn't randomly decide to bring this up. He was asked about it on 105.3 The Fan, and instead of dodging the question, he answered it head-on. That tells me this wasn't just a slip of the tongue or a throwaway comment. This was intentional. This was a calculated shot across the bow, and honestly, it needed to be said because there's a bigger picture here. This is about culture. This is about accountability. This is about making it clear to every player on the roster, rookie or veteran, backup or starter, superstar or role player, that the Cowboys are done playing games when it comes to expectations. If you take the money, you take the responsibility, period. Let me ask you, do you think Steven Jones went too far by addressing this publicly? Or was this exactly what needed to happen to set the tone for the rest of the team? Drop a comment below and let me know where you stand. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications because we've got a whole lot more to unpack in this story and you're not going to want to miss a single update. Coming up next, we're digging into the biggest point of tension in all of this, the rehab decision. Was Diggs just protecting his body, or was he putting himself above the team? Stick with me. Alright, now let's get into the heart of the matter, the rehab debate. This is the part where opinions really start to clash, and where fans get divided over who's really at fault in this whole saga. Trevon Diggs decided to do his rehab away from the Cowboys facility with his own specialists and trainers, rather than sticking with the team's medical staff. On paper, that sounds reasonable. After all, players want to trust the people they feel most comfortable with, especially when coming back from serious injuries. But here's the catch, this isn't just about comfort. It's about trust, communication, and accountability to the organization that's invested millions in you. Steven Jones and the Cowboys made it very clear that having players around the team while rehabbing isn't just a convenience, it's a crucial part of the recovery process. Being at the Star means immediate access to top-tier resources, yes. But it also means coaches and trainers can monitor progress closely, catch any setbacks early, and make adjustments in real time. Plus, it sends a message to the entire locker room that you're in this together, that you're accountable to your teammates and to the franchise. Diggs' choice to step outside that system and, more importantly, to not communicate clearly about it threw a wrench in that trust. The Cowboys staff have a reputation for being among the best in the league, and if you look at other players who've had injuries, they've leaned on the team's resources, even singing their praises. Publicly, Diggs, though, he's been the outlier. The only one publicly known to have issues with the Cowboys training staff. And that creates a problem for the front office. Now, I get it, players want the best for themselves, and sometimes that means sticking with personal trainers or specialists who have helped them in the past. But at the end of the day, when you're under contract with a team, and that team is footing the bill, there is an expectation that you'll be fully engaged with their system, especially when you're a high-profile player with leadership expectations. So who's really at fault here? The player for wanting to rehab on his own terms, or the organization for enforcing strict rules about presence and accountability? Honestly, it feels like a little bit of both. Diggs could have done a better job staying aligned with the team. The Cowboys could have maybe done more to meet him halfway. But when it comes to public perception, the fact that Diggs left the building during his rehab has given the front office a legitimate reason to question his commitment. Now, I want to hear from you. If you were Trevon Diggs, would you trust the Cowboys training staff to guide you through recovery, or would you want to go your own way too? And what do you think the Cowboys could do differently to keep their players fully engaged? sound off in the comments. And if you're finding this breakdown helpful, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. We've got more Cowboys news coming your way, and you don't want to miss it. Next up, we'll tackle the bigger picture, the clash between entitlement and accountability that this whole situation represents. Stay tuned. Now let's zoom out a bit and talk about what this whole situation says about culture in today's NFL, especially in Dallas. You see, this isn't just about rehab or contracts. It's about expectations, entitlement, and accountability. When you sign a big deal like Trevin Diggs did, you're stepping into a spotlight and accepting a level of responsibility that goes way beyond just showing up on game day. The Cowboys and, frankly, every successful team expect their highest paid players to lead, to set an example, and to embrace the team culture fully. Stephen Jones basically called out Diggs for what feels like a sense of entitlement, acting like the rules don't apply to him just because of his talent or his paycheck. And that's a tough pill for a lot of fans to swallow, because we all want players to be treated well, respected, and trusted. But respect and trust aren't one-way streets. They have to be earned every day, and they require commitment from both sides. Diggs' decision to stick with his own trainers instead of buying into the team's system can be seen as putting himself before the team, which creates tension. Especially when you consider that his leadership role on the team carries weight. It's not just about personal preferences anymore, it's about what's best for the group, and when a player bucks the system like that, it sends mixed messages to teammates, coaches, and fans. This raises a bigger question. Are some of today's players feeling too entitled once they get paid big money? Are they forgetting that accountability is part of the deal? Because make no mistake, the Cowboys front office is trying to build a culture of discipline and structure. They want their stars to lead not just on the field, but in the locker room and in the daily grind. So I want to ask you, do you think this is a generational clash where younger players expect more freedom, or is the Cowboys' demand for accountability totally justified? And should leadership be a non-negotiable expectation for every high-paid player? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you're all about holding players to a high standard and want to see the Cowboys return to a disciplined winning culture, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Speaking of what's next, in our final chapter, we'll look at what this whole drama means for Trevin Diggs' future with the Cowboys and how it might impact the team moving forward. Don't go anywhere. Alright, so here's the big question. What does all this mean for Trevin Diggs and the Cowboys moving forward? At this point, the situation feels tense enough that it's impossible to ignore. Diggs isn't just a player on the sidelines anymore, he's become a symbol of a larger struggle between player freedom and organizational control. And when you mess with that balance, there are consequences. From what Stephen Jones made clear, the Cowboys front office is disappointed, even frustrated, with how Diggs handled his rehab and his public criticism. That kind of tension can't just disappear overnight. It raises real questions about trust. Can the Cowboys fully count on him as a leader? Can Diggs fully buy into the team's culture and expectations? These aren't small issues, especially with so many eyes watching. Then you have Micah Parsons, who's been handling his business on the field but has his own contract drama brewing. The contrast between Parsons' approach and Diggs' situation couldn't be clearer, and it's forcing the Cowboys to make some tough decisions. Do they prioritize talent no matter what, or do they prioritize culture and accountability even if it means risking losing a key player? For fans, it's a tough pill to swallow. On one hand, Diggs has proven what he can do when healthy. He's a game-changing cornerback. On the other, no player is bigger than the team. The Cowboys have made it clear they're setting a new tone, and if that tone doesn't align with Diggs' approach, it could lead to a parting of ways sooner rather than later. So here's what I want to know from you. Should the Cowboys consider trading Diggs if the trust isn't there? Or should they give him more time to rebuild that relationship? And as a fan, what matters more to you? Talent on the field, or discipline and accountability in the locker room? Let me hear your thoughts down below, and hey, if you've stuck around this far, I appreciate you. Don't forget to smash that like button if you want more honest Cowboys coverage, and make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss our next deep dive. We'll keep bringing you everything you need to know about this team, on and off the field. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.